Okay, here we go. We are going to do our second contour map. And this is an old one, but a good one. You can tell it's been reproduced from probably the 1950s or something. But, these things, they don't change and we can still use it, even though it's kind of old and maybe a little crooked here or there. So what we're going to do is just draw our contour line similar to how we did with our notes, but this is more of a guided practice. So I'll just do a couple of contour lines with you, and then we'll let you go off and try it on your own. There's a couple of things we have to look at first. One is this does not start at zero. If you look at the lowest elevations, they're all around 600 feet to 620 feet, somewhere in there. So we're not going to start at zero this time. And we do have to look at where we do want to start, though. So I think looking at this, since 600 is the lowest contour line, that's probably a good one to look at. Then from there, we have to decide what makes sense. Do we go up by? Usually these things tell you what the contour interval is, and that's what I'm kind of getting at here. But in this one, they didn't. So let's kind of think about that just a little bit. If I were to make the contour interval every 10 feet, what do you think would happen? Well, we'd have contour lines for every 10 feet. There's the 610, there's the 620, there's the 630, here would be the 640. And so you'd have a lot of them. So we're not going to do that. So what we will do is we'll use 20 feet. So if you want, you can just write in here, contour interval equals 20 feet. And also a couple other things to look at here. The contour line for 600 is actually the lake shore. We talked about this when it was sea level. This is actually, even though it's a lake, it draws its own contour line for 600 feet. So this whole mess of water is right at 600. We also have two rivers. That's what these things are. So I'm just going to draw that in there so you don't forget that those are just rivers. And you can probably guess already which way they flow. If you look at some of the elevations, we've got higher elevations up here, and then the lake shore is at 600. So we don't want to, we can actually make an assumption about the fact that these flow into the lake. I'm going to switch colors to, let's go with green for our contour lines on this one so that we can see that they're different than the rivers that I just drew. So like I said, 600 is actually a contour line for the water shore. So if we go by 20s, the next one up would be 620 feet. So a little easier than drawing every 10 feet like we talked about earlier. So I see, looking around the map, you always have to decide where to start. So if you've got a 600 there and we want to start at 620, just look around and you're going to see nothing anywhere around 620, anywhere up here. So that tells me I don't want to really start up there. I'm going to look maybe down in the lower part of the map, like down here, somewhere around here and here. So let's see how that looks. And the process is the same. So we just have to ask ourselves, pick any two dots that are next to each other and ask yourself if 620 is in there. And if you count up from 622 to 642, there is no 620 in there, so we can't do that. But between 610 and 622, yes. So maybe right about there. I see a 619. I love those because they're right about what we want. So the dot would be right there next to it between 619 and 649. Oh, a free 620 right on the river. I wonder why they did that. And then let's see down here closer to 616, 621. I like that one because that means 620 is probably right next to it. And then let's see. I'm looking up over here. I don't see anything that I want there. I do see a 626 here, but 609 and 626, I'd say 620, maybe right on the river there again, somewhere around there. And we'll talk about how that looks in a minute. And then let's see, 617 and 629. Let's look at there, probably a little closer to the 617. And then I don't see any way I can make this contour line go between here and here. So we're just going to send it off the map. So when I draw it smooth, here's what happens. We've got nice, steady, and then what is it doing by the river? Just like we talked about. It's making that V shape that points uphill or upstream, and it's going to do it again on this side on this river, and then it just kind of does that. So that's 620. Let me think here. I'm going to let you guys do 640, 660. I'm going to help you out with a 680. And also, by the way, don't worry, or feel free rather to label these so you remember what's what. And obviously this one's 600. So the next few are pretty straightforward, but as we get into 680 feet, I want you to see what happens here, because those ones are it gets a little weird. So let's kind of look at this. Look around and find areas where 680 could be. And if you look here, between those two and those two and those two, there's nowhere for it to come on the map. But I know that there's 680 somewhere in there, right? 678, 703. So there's probably a 680 right there. So let's just keep doing that and see what happens. Here's a 669 and a 700. 680 is probably about halfway. Here's a 679. I like those. That's really close to what I want. But if you look at between 679 and 718, it's probably right next to the 79 and so on. So let's keep looking. All right, 680, 680. All right, so here's 689 and 664. So we've got a 680 in there somewhere. And again, yours might be different. You might think it goes a little bit closer to or further from a point. I don't really care. Not everybody's going to get the exact same answer here. Keeping on looking, I actually see a 680 up there, which is strange because there's a 701 here. So I'm kind of confused. We'll have to look back at that in a minute. But for now, oh, here's a 655 and a 700. You can do this infinite number of times, as many points as you have to figure out where things go. But I'm picking right about there. Down here, I need a little guidance on where I might draw this line. So 668 and 7 something. So maybe somewhere right in the middle. So really, do you see what's happening here? If I start to draw this right now, you're getting this circular contour. We saw that happen on the notes map. So there it is. Now that doesn't answer much about what the heck just happened up here, because if you look, there's more 680s that you can kind of find in here. Maybe, well, there's that one. Let's see. How about 682 and 677? Did I make an error is the question. Maybe I did, because we need to go around. Let me just erase this line really quick and go back to our dots. I actually can draw this circular shape one. It actually wasn't a perfect circle. I can actually go up here and connect it to that one. So we can make this avocado shape. Yes? So now look inside that avocado. All of the numbers inside of it are greater than 680. But then I go up here, and this is the confusing part. See, I even messed it up just now. Look at that, 682 and 677. Well, guess what's in between there? There's a 680. So how the heck do you handle that? Well, let's draw some more and see what happens. Because you got the same issue right here between 677 and 700. And you've got a 678 and a 697 up top. So we've got something that maybe goes around here. And then over on the left side, we've got a 663 and a 700 something. I think that's 702. Old photocopy. There we go. So maybe somewhere right there. And all these numbers are greater than 680, so I don't need to go up there. So what you end up getting is two contour lines that come oh so close to each other. And that is the solution. And you're probably like, oh, well, that was terrible. Are we done yet? And the answer is, oh, no. Because look, we've got more 680s over here. And you can pop a 680 in between those two. We can put another couple here. This side is not as bad. How about next to 678? Between that and 708, that's a good place to put one. An 82, 682, 665, it's probably right about there. Oh, let's see. All these numbers in this area are kind of low, so I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm going to look over here. Maybe it may just, oh, 670 and 699. So I think we've got a 680, maybe right about there. And if you look, it's kind of steering us to go off the map here. So there is a 680 between these two numbers. So you just have to find a spot roughly there that'll take you off the map. So this one just kind of comes on the map here, does this, wraps around. And again, you can clean these up after you draw it the first time. I actually messed that up pretty bad because I'm on an iPad and this is a little weird for me. So I'm going to try that again, zoomed out a little bit so I can draw it nice and smooth. Reconnect there and then off the map. So that, as weird as that looks, and as weird as this area is the 680 contour, so 680. And over here you can also write 680 if you want. Not required, but you can. Now here's the deal. With this one, I could have kind of left a little notch there. So let me redraw my avocado and I can show you how you would label this one if you don't want to get confused down the road. And I also could erase some of these dots, but we're going to just kind of go with it. You can actually write a 680 right in between there somehow. So if that's something you want to do so you don't lose track of which contour is which, you can do that. All right, so the rest of it isn't too bad. You should pause the video and you got to go by 20s. And if you kind of think about it, the highest you can get if you count up by 20s from 600 on this map, it looks like 720. Do I see anything higher? I don't. I think that's, so 720 should be the highest one you have to worry about on this based on the numbers I see here. So give yourself a few seconds to do that. Pause the video, take your time, grab a coffee, maybe something else to keep you awake, who knows, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to do the 640 with you right now, and this is kind of weird. So I'm not going to go through the dots process. I'm just going to draw them in, and you can just see how you did and kind of compare. So this one goes in there and up. And I got to move my screen up, 638. So it's going to make that V shape, come down. And we're going to head over and off the map. Oh, wait, we got a river over here. So maybe it's going to go something like this and then off. So you can see they kind of follow a similar pattern. What's next? So that was 640. So 660 is next. So we'll run that kind of similar in pattern here. We'll run it right through here. You're noticing they get pretty kind of squeezed together here over on this side. So 660 over there, close to that one. And it looks like this may make a rough V shape right there where the river starts. Come back down. And we're going to scoot underneath that 661 and then off. So that's 660. All right, we did 680 to go. That was a real doozy. So I guess we can just jump to 700, right? So let's watch and see how that one. Now this is, I'm going to do, the easy part is right here. I think that's 702. I'm going to just go with that and we'll draw it like this. Ooh, hate when that happens. Actually, I just realized, look at these are 690s and 680s. I can't draw a 700 over there, right? So I'm just going to basically surround everything bigger than 700 right there. So you get a little circular contour in there. And then on the other side of the map, it actually does something similar. Now it's weird over here, but you can see 699, 700, 680. You can use your contour line that you just drew as a reference. We can just draw it something like this. And I got to go in between here, very close to that 703. Now, I also noticed this going on over here. There's a 698. So that's going to make me want to change this line a little bit right here at the edge. So it's actually going to wrap around similar to how we had, but it's going to come back and maybe just kind of do something like this. So now everything inside this other avocado is bigger than 700. So that's what we want. let's see here. I think that just about covered. Oh, wait, what's going on inside the little avocado on the left over here? We've got some bigger numbers in there. So let's draw 700. There's 700. Gonna come up, gonna go around that one. And we're gonna actually have to go under the 703 in order to make it all work. So look inside the little, I guess we're drawing pits inside the avocado. Now all these are bigger than 700 inside. So that means we did it right. Now, if we look, it looks like we have to draw 720. So that would be this little guy in here. That's the real pit of the avocado. And the only number inside that is 735. Up here, there's nothing that's even close to 720. So we're not going to worry about it. But over here, we can actually draw another pit. So there's a little shape like that. And that's it. And again, you can go through and label all these that you want. We're going to want to label these later. I'm going to clean this up a little bit because we're going to use this map at a later time next week for how to draw our profile of this map. So that we'll deal with at another time, but that is how it looks. So kind of look at your map as a whole. I'll kind of freeze that there so you can look at it on the screen and see how you did. Again, it's not going to look identical. That's okay. Sometimes people draw their lines slightly differently. You could do something different up here at the top. You could actually, if you wanted, do in red. You could actually draw this as a circular one if you wanted. That would be fine. So if you did that, don't worry. It's still right. It's just open to interpretation. We're estimating technically. I don't know what this little thing is there. Gone. And so, yeah, just take a quick look at it and see how you did, adjust, figure out what you did right, wrong, and pat yourself on the back if you had it perfect. And that's it for this little exercise.